Now, we are going to start the very important topic as we already are discussing the different medical disorder in the pregnancy. And this is again a very important disorder by which we, being an obstetrician, particularly the DVT and thromboembolism and the pulmonary embolism, we are very anxious regarding this if the patient come to us. So we have the very anxious regarding this problem because this will lead to the immediate death, particularly the pulmonary embolism within 7 minutes. So regarding this is a very important. Now, this is the introduction regarding the venous thromboembolism. It is one of the major cause of direct maternal death. देखिए बाकी जितने भी disorders हैं उसमें थोड़ा सा time लगता है. That will take some time. There are the certain systemic problems. Either there may be the cardiac failure, there may be the liver failure, there may be the other problems that will lead to that. So it will take some time to make a patient serious or being a patient in the this very serious condition. But this venous thromboembolism is a direct cause because once this thrombi is dislodged from any site where it is a form, it immediately go into the circulation, reaches to the pulmonary circulation, immediately block the pulmonary vessels, and there will be the sudden death. So it is a major cause of the direct maternal death. Those who survive, if the patient is survived, they become the significant morbidity. Now, why this is a more we worried in the pregnancy because as compared to the non-pregnant ladies, because the pregnancy increase 5 to 6 fold risk of the thromboembolism outside the pregnancy. Means in the pregnancy there is a 5 to 6 times more risk of the thromboembolic disorder as compared to the outside the pregnancy. Actually the true incidence is not known because the patient suddenly die and there is no diagnosis. So the data is actual data is not available. However, 0.5, 0.3 to 1.2% of all pregnancies are complicated by the thromboembolic disorders. In 80% of the cases, it occurs postnatally, usually during the first 2 weeks, and in 80% it is left-sided. Now, this picture, if you are going to remember the blood flow of the phenomena of the thrombus formation, that if you know that how the blood is flowing in the vessel, that is when the blood is flowing in the vessel, that the plasma portion of the blood is on the laterally, on the sides, on the periphery. The central stream contains the blood cells. That could be the RBCs, that could be the platelets and other cells which are present in the blood. Whenever there is a stasis, this stream will be disturbed. So these cells comes near to the wall of the vessels, and they may become adherent to the vessel wall. As they are adherent to the vessel wall, there is a release of tissue factor that is known as the thromboplastin that further aggregate these cells and will lead to the thrombus formation. And when this thrombus, and this will block the vessel either completely or partially, and when this thrombus is dislodged, as is seen in the third picture, this will lead to the embolus formation. Now this embolus may go anywhere, in any vessel, either it may block. If it is going to the pulmonary vessels, this will lead to the immediately sudden death. So that's why we are worried. Why the pregnancy associated with the increased tendency of the clotting? Because the pregnancy is known as the procoagulant state. There are certain factors of the clotting factors which are increased in the pregnancy. Now this is, on one side, this is a blessing because of the pregnancy, as it is a procoagulant. Because if it is the anticoagulant state, then the bleeding will be so much so in the third stage of the labor that the patient may go into the postpartum hemorrhage and die because of the bleeding. It is a procoagulant state of the pregnancy. That's why the bleeding is stopped from the placental side when the placenta is separated in the third stage of the labor. These vessels immediately undergo the vasoconstriction and there will be the clot formation. That clot will be block the vessels and the bleeding will be stopped from the uterus. So this on one side, this procoagulant state act as a blessing. On other side, it may also lead to the dangerous to the other. So because of this procoagulant state, there are increase in the coagulation factors, and that will lead to there may be the increased production of these clotting factor. There is a venous stasis and there is a increased tendency. जो platelet बनते हैं उनमें aggregation की tendency बहुत ज़्यादा होती है. They are more aggregated as compared to the outside the pregnancy. So the venous stasis because of the vasodilatation, the blood flow जो है वो slow हो जाता है. That's why there will be the venous stasis. There is an increased production of the clotting factor, coagulating factors, decreased production of the anticoagulating factor, increased tendency of the platelet to become an aggregate. And this is Virchow's triad, and that's why this Virchow's triad, the pregnancy is associated with the increased risk of the clotting or the coagulation. Now, there are certain other risk factors apart from this pregnancy. Those patients who more than 35 years, if they get pregnant, those who are multipara, more than 4 children, those patients who are the obese, those patients who have the preeclampsia, those patients who remain immobilized for a longer time for any reason, either because of any bony problem, or the patient is a habitat of the immobilization, or any other illness, prolonged illness, which lead to the immobilization of the patient, are those patients who have the history of thromboembolism, particularly those ladies who have the history of the thromboembolism in mothers, in sisters. They may suffer from this thromboembolic disorders. And any congenital or the acquired thrombophilias that will also lead to this thromboembolism. Operative delivery means cesarean section here or other delivery, because this will lead to the larger time. The patient may lie in the supine position that may press the veins and vessels and will lead to initiate the thrombus formation, cascade of the thrombus formation. Any patient who have the varicose vein, regarding the blood group, there is a controversy. The blood group other than O are more prone to develop the thromboembolism, but there is a controversy. It is not a confirmed factors. What is the pathology? What happened? DVT is the leading cause of maternal death throughout the pregnancy. Gestational DVT usually occur in the iliofemoral vein, 70% versus the 9% in the non-pregnant. And therefore, the most likely to result in the pulmonary embolism and also more likely to occur in the left leg, 85% versus the 55% in the right leg in non-pregnant. Perhaps related to the compression of the left iliac vein by the right iliac artery. This left iliac vein becomes compressed and as we know that the compression will lead to the decreased blood flow or the stasis of the blood flow. As the blood flows in stasis, all the cells comes to the periphery on the near to the wall. They become adherent to there, and this will start the cascade of the coagulation and will lead to the thrombus formation. The major predisposing factor, as we say, that the activation of the coagulating factor, venous stasis, endothelial injury of any type. Endothelial injury of any type because of any cause. This is the picture of the diagrammatically direction of the flow. This show the superficial vessels. This may be pressed by the muscles, and there may be the thrombus in that deep vein. This will be lead to the swelling of the leg. Now, this is the picture also show how the blood is flow in the vessels. The cellular part of the blood is in the mid in the stream, while the liquid part is in the sides. What are the incidence of the DVT in the pregnancy? It is about 1 into 1,000 pregnancies. The risk of DVT increase approximately 5-fold in the pregnancy and the puerperal. This we discussed already. Now, the type of the disorders which occur into the venous type of the disorders, thromboembolic disorders which occur in the pregnancy, mainly there are the 3 type of the disorders, that is the superficial thrombophlebitis, there will be the deep vein thrombosis, or there may be the iliofemoral deep vein thrombosis and the pulmonary embolism. Proximal, iliofemoral and deep vein thrombosis and the pulmonary embolism. Diagnosis: because of the future implication, risk and treatment costs and inconvenience, every effort should be made to have an objective diagnosis. क्योंकि this is the risk है, treatment cost बहुत ज़्यादा है, तो आपको diagnose confirm करना है. However, the clinical diagnosis is inaccurate over the 60% of the cases of thromboembolic. So you have to confirm this by certain means, which we will discuss in the next discussion. Now the thrombophlebitis, superficial thrombophlebitis, the condition is misnamed. It is actually not an infection. Thrombophlebitis is not an infection, but it is a redness surrounding the affected vein is a reaction to the clot. This is an inflammatory reaction to the clot, the blood clot which is formed inside the vessel. That will lead to the redness, that will lead to the swelling, and that is an inflammation. That's why it is known as the thrombophlebitis. Phlebitis is from the vessel. Phlebitis means inflammation of the vessels. It is the commonest form of the venous thrombosis in the pregnancy and puerperal. It occurs in about 1% of the patient and nearly always rise in the existing varicose vein. जिन भी पेशेंट को वेरिकोस वेन्स हैं उनमें इसका चांस बहुत ज्यादा होता है और कॉमन टाइम जो है ना पुerperal में देखा गया है, यानी जस्ट आफ्टर द डिलीवरी. द डायग्नोसिस क्लिनिकली ऑब्वियस. द पेशेंट कंप्लेन करेगी ज्यादातर कि मेरी डिलीवरी हुई है, 2 दिन हुए या 1 दिन हुआ है, सो आफ्टर डिलीवरी सडनली my leg becomes edematous, it becomes a tender, it becomes red, and this will become warm because of inflammation. There may be the erythema, there may be the cord-like veins may be felt in this. So the patient may complaining of the swelling, may complain of hardness, and there may be the tenderness, there may be the cord-like vein palpation. What is the treatment? This is a usually obvious condition. This can be diagnosed by the clinical means. There's no need of any special investigation, particularly for the thrombophlebitis. You can diagnose clinically, and or you can have the ultrasound examination, Doppler ultrasound. Treatment is really symptomatic. So the symptomatic treatment asks the patient to have a rest with the elevation of the leg, and compression. Whenever she lie down, she may elevate her leg and she apply the compression bandage. And this is the compression bandage should be applied right from the ankle joint up to the whole leg up to this groin. So complete bandage, compression bandage should be applied, and this should be the patient is asked to elevate it. Some patients in DVT need to be excluded because there may be the association DVT along with the thrombophlebitis. There will be the deep vein thrombosis. So it may coexist with it, even more extension to involve the deep vein rarely. Now this is the clinical presentation of this leg. Is the leg which is lower down is having the inflammation, thrombophlebitis, while upper leg is a normal leg. You can see that there is a redness, there is a swelling of the leg as compared to the normal leg. This is a varicose vein, and thrombophlebitis is more common in the patient, those who have the varicose vein. Then the other second is the disorder is the deep vein thrombosis. The most common clinical feature of the deep vein thrombosis is the pain. There may be the local tenderness. There may be the swelling. There may be the change in the skin color and change in the temperature. The affected leg will be swelled. It will be the red in color. There will be that hot in palpation. And if you are going to palpate deeply, there may be the tenderness. And patient usually complain of the pain in the leg, that particular unilateral pain, unilateral swelling, unilateral tenderness, and change in the skin color. Most DVT resolve spontaneously, 75 to 80%, and run a benign course except when the thrombosis is spread to involve the proximal deep vein. Proximal deep vein का मकसद ये है कि वो जो pelvic veins होती है ना, pelvic veins में से ऊपर चला जाए तो that will lead to the pulmonary embolism. Proximal DVT, अब ये distal DVT भी हो सकता है. Distal DVT का मकसद है कि ये लेग में भी हो सकती है, और proximal का मकसद है pelvic में या pelvis से above. That is occur more common than the cuff DVT and over 80% in the left-sided. Symptoms are more dramatic with a pain and swelling involving the entire limb. If the arterial supply is unimpaired, the leg appears swollen, blue, warm. On the other hand, if the arterial spasm occurs secondary to irritation from the nearby clotted vein, the leg becomes swollen, painful, white and cold because of the ischemia. वो ischemia हो रहा है, उसमें inflammation हो रही है. अगर artery involve होगी तो there may be the ischemia that lead to the swelling pain, but the leg becomes white because of the ischemia and it becomes a cold. Like in the thrombosis, venous thrombosis, it becomes in venous thrombosis, the leg becomes swollen, it becomes a blue and warm. Now, the pulmonary embolism. In the pulmonary embolism, this is a high index of suspicious. आपके पास टाइम ही नहीं होता कि pulmonary embolism को diagnose करें, तो suspect करते all those patients who have the DVT or thromboembolism or thrombophlebitis. So high index of suspicion is always needed for the diagnosis of the pulmonary embolism, especially in the patient with the deep vein thrombosis or those patients who have the risk factor for the venous thrombosis. That is those patients who are anemic, those patients whose age is more than 35, immobilized patient, family history of the thromboembolism, those patients who are obese, those patients who are having the preeclampsia. All these patients may have the more chance of the deep vein thrombosis and the pulmonary. So you may suspect the maternal mortality from the untreated pulmonary embolism is a 13%, with majority within the 1 hour of the event. With the early diagnosis and treatment, the survival rate is between the 92 to 95%. लेकिन ये है कि 1 घंटे से भी कभी-कभी जल्दी पेशेंट की डेथ हो जाती है अगर क्लॉट बहुत ज्यादा बड़ा हो और immediately block the pulmonary vessel. May lead to the less than 1 hour, within few minutes patient may die. What are the common symptoms and signs of the pulmonary embolism patient immediately? अगर देखें कि परप्यूरम में पेशेंट है या पेशेंट जस्ट डिलीवर हुई है and she is obese, she is multipara, she is anemic, or she has a predisposing of the risk factor for the DVT, and so you may suspect the embolism. Always you suspect in those patients. Along with that symptoms, if she immediately developed tachypnea, she developed the dyspnea, she developed the hemoptysis, or complaining of the chest pain, and you palpate that the pulse is rising, tachycardia more than 100, 120, patient becomes immediately synopes, or there is a frothing from the mouth, or the patient having the syncope attack, or the varying degree of the shock, or the patient having the pyrexia, immediately suspect that this patient may have the pulmonary embolism. So the signs symptoms are non-specific, and in most cases there is no prior clinical evidence. लेकिन ये है कि this is a high suspicious sign symptoms. इन्वेस्टिगेशन क्या करनी चाहिए? अब देखें कि हमारे यहाँ तो इतनी इन्वेस्टिगेशन अवेलेबल नहीं होती, लेकिन जो बहुत ही सोफिस्टिकेटेड हॉस्पिटल्स होती हैं, they have all these investigation on the one door, on the one floor, and in the same from the same door. They can have the mobile X-ray. They can have the ECG immediately, ABGs, blood gases, and this duplex Doppler ultrasound to exclude the DVT. D-dimer is used as a screening test for the venous thromboembolism with a high negative predictive value. A low level suggests the absence of venous thromboembolism and further objective tests are not needed. तो ये देखिए हमारे यहाँ तो नहीं है अवेलेबल, लेकिन ये कि जो बहुत अच्छी हॉस्पिटल्स होती हैं उनमें ये एक ही फ्लोर पे all these investigation like in the Aghan. If the patient suffering in the Aghan, she immediately being diagnosed further because she has the mobile X-ray, she can has the ECG, she can has the blood cases immediately, and this Doppler ultrasound to exclude the DVT and the D-dimer. Though the D-dimer will take the time, but one can exclude by these other investigation as well. Then the ventilation perfusion isotope lung scan. This is a further sophisticated investigation which is required for the pulmonary embolism, and that is the VQ. VQ is the ventilation perfusion isotope lung scan that will show us that how much lung perfusion is. Or there is a spiral CT scan, so that is the superior to that. Again, this spiral CT scan show us that how much lung is affected and what is the lung perfusion. Or you can have the computed tomography pulmonary angiogram if clinical suspicion is high or other tests are inconclusive. So you can have the angiography that will immediately show that this particular vessel is a block, and there may be the chances of the thromboembolism, pulmonary embolism. So there are the risk factor. This is the risk assessment for the gynecological patient or the obstetric patient. लो रिस्क कौन से हैं, मॉडरेट रिस्क कौन से हैं, हाई रिस्क कौन से हैं. माइनर सर्जरी less than 30 minutes. There is a no risk factor, but we do prophylaxis that ask the patient to have the good hydration and early mobilization. Early mobilization का मकसद ये है कि पेशेंट को कहें कि वहीं पे ही लेटे लेटे she can mobilize her leg up and down. She can flex her knee joint, she can flex her hip joint, and she mobilize the leg on the bed even. Major surgery, more than 30 minutes, age is less than 40 years, no other risk factor. कोई और risk factor जो हमने discuss किए हैं नहीं है. Again, these patients require no treatment, just prophylaxis, and that prophylaxis is a mobilization and the hydration. Ask the patient to take lot of fluid, ask the patient to mobilize, either she walk around or she mobilize even on the bed. And deep breathing exercises and the mobilization. Moderate risk, internet connection is unstable. This message pe aayo. Moderate risk, there is a major surgery, more than 40 years of age, or other risk factor are present. Other risk factor means if the patient is the family history of thrombophilias or congenital any family history of thromboembolism, or patient is obese, or patient has a multipara, then the anticoagulant, early mobilization, good hydration, elastic compression stockings. You can give the minor surgery but previous history of thrombosis or the thrombophilia. High risk major surgery for the cancers particularly, because the cancer surgery require a longer time. This requires a prolonged time, more than 2 hours, 3 hours. All these patients may require the anticoagulation. They require the early mobilization. They should have the good hydration. They have the depend upon the graduated elastic compression stocking, intermediate pneumatic compression stocking. One can have the different stocking, either the continuous stock or the pneumatic compression. In air-filled compression stockings होती हैं, pneumatic compression stocking कहते हैं, and usually they are used in patient with a major surgery of the cancers. Now low molecular weight dosage scheduled है. Those patients who require the anticoagulation, what type of the anticoagulation we give? Usually nowadays we give the lower molecular weight heparin that is comes in the form of the deltaprin, enoxaparin, and tinzaprin. So what is the regime? What is the therapeutic dose for these? The deltaprin 100 unit per kilogram twice a day. Prophylactic, this is the therapeutic dose. While prophylactic dose is a 5,000 unit daily. Regarding the enoxaparin, 1 milligram per kilogram twice a day, or 1.5 milligram per kg per daily, or and if you are, this is a therapeutic dose, and prophylactic dose is a 40 milligram day. You can give this subcutaneously. Cyclexin, this is a commonly used, and this is used subcutaneously. Tinzaprin, 175 international unit per kilogram daily. In therapeutic dose, we do not give that subcutaneously. In therapeutic, we give the IV this heparin, while the prophylactically we can give the subcutaneously. So this is given the 4,500 international unit or the 75 international unit per kg. So these are the dose of the low molecular weight heparin, which is used for the either the prophylaxis or the treatment of the DVT and the pulmonary embolism. Treatment of the acute phase of the thromboembolic disorder, standard heparin IV are the more preferred, the low molecular. आजकल वो जो conventional heparin है वो ज़्यादा use नहीं होती, low molecular weight heparin ज़्यादा use होती है. Once the diagnosis is clinically suspected, until the excluded by the objective testing, as we discussed. Treatment aim to achieve the APTT. जब भी anticoagulant देते हैं, तो you must have the these APTT and the PTR INR. So that if you are going to start the therapeutic level, achieve only when the APTT is 2 to 2.5 more than the control. If you are going to start the low molecular weight heparin or the standard heparin, then you must have the APTT. Once the APTT is raised, means the APTT is 2 to 2.5 more than control. You have the control initially, and then after this, you start the heparin, and when the APTT reaches 2 to 2.5, then the control. So that means you have achieved the therapeutic level of the heparin. And it should be continued for 5 to 7 days, and then continue with the prophylactic dose up to the 6 to 12 weeks postnatal. Heparin is the anticoagulation of the choice in the pregnancy, particularly. It does not cross the placenta, and in overdose action can be reversed by the protamine sulfate. Osteoporosis and the thrombocytopenia are the complication of the prolonged use of heparin. Therefore, the platelet count should be done and the patient's bone scan should be done. Legs should be elevated and the elastic compression stocking should be worn to reduce the edema. In DVT, the cuff circumference should be measured daily to help the monitoring the response of the treatment, whether the edema is reducing or not. Massive pulmonary embolism may require the ICU with multidisciplinary team. She may require the ventilator. She may require for the oxygen saturation, and she may require the multidisciplinary approach with the hematologist. Recurrent pulmonary embolism may require the inferior vena cava filter, because these patients if the patient having the history of this pulmonary embolism or the thromboembolism in the last pregnancy, there may be the more chances of the recurrence. So it's better to apply the filter in the inferior vena cava. This will prevent the pulmonary embolism, not the thromboembolism, DVT, but pulmonary embolism नहीं होगा, जिससे डेथ के बहुत ज़्यादा चांसेस हो सकते हैं. Thromboprophylactic therapy in the pulmonary embolism should only be given with a hematologist agreement. वो आपको बताएगा कि thrombolytic therapy जो होती है वो intravenous देते हैं, and that will causes the dislodgement and the disaggregation of the thrombosis. And this is a particularly used, आपने ये सुना होगा ज़्यादातर coronary thrombosis में, acute coronary syndrome में वो thrombolytic therapy देते हैं to prevent the clot formation and the dislodge the clot. So but this should be given with the agreement or with the consent of the hematologist. So this is the multidisciplinary approach. Thoracotomy with embolectomy may be life-saving if you consider that this are various large emboli, thrombus, blocking this pulmonary. Immediately do the thoracotomy and open the vessel, remove this clot and repair the vessel. This is the treatment, acute treatment, or the treatment of the emergency. Heparin thromboprophylaxis has to be considered in the subsequent pregnancy or if patient have the additional risk factor. अगर एक मर्तबा पेशेंट को थ्रोम्बोएम्बोलिक डिसऑर्डर चाहे डीवीटी हुआ हो, चाहे वेरिकोस वेन हो, चाहे थ्रोम्बोफ्लेबाइटिस हो या पल्मोनरी एम्बोलिज्म हुआ हो, तो it's a better to give the prophylactic dose of the heparin in the subsequent pregnancy. This will prevent the risk of the pulmonary embolism. Then there are these are the anticoagulants which we give the parenteral route. Other anticoagulant can be given the orally, but these are usually not given in the pregnancy because they have the teratogenic effect, warfarin particularly, and they cross the placenta. So the complication of the warfarin embryopathy कहते हैं उसको, include the nasal hypoplasia, depressed nasal bridge, irregular bone growth, intracranial facial hemorrhage. However, they can be given after the delivery and are safe in the lactation. ये जो continuous anticoagulants है, particularly some patient may require the continuous anticoagulants, particularly those patients who have the valve replacement, those patients who have the metallic prosthetic or metallic valve replacement, they require the lifelong anticoagulant. Mitral stenosis की patient है, उनकी valve replacement हुई है, aortic stenosis की patient है, उसकी valve replacement हुई है, तो इन patient में lifelong anticoagulant देते हैं. So, but if she want to get the pregnant, then it's better to switch these patient on the heparin initially, and then she becomes pregnant. And after the first trimester, then you can switch the patient on the warfarin. Or the other thing is that the patient should continue the heparin throughout the pregnancy and they stop the heparin at 36 weeks after gestation. So there are the two regimes for using the continuous anticoagulant in the pregnancy if the patient needs. However, the warfarin can be given after the delivery. It can be given in the patient who are the lactating. But we conclude that thromboembolism is a major cause of the maternal mortality and morbidity worldwide. The clinical diagnosis is unreliable, but once they strongly suspected, treatment should be started until the objectively excluded. In a high clinical suspicious है, जैसे मैंने बताया कि symptoms से आप suspect कर सकते हो कि this is a pulmonary embolism and this patient may have the DVT. Duplex, Doppler X-ray, venography, VQ scan are the major diagnostics. These are the major diagnostics which have the good specificity and the sensitivity. During the pregnancy, the low molecular weight heparin is a preferred anticoagulant as it is a more effective and safer as a no effect on the fetus. Oral anticoagulant should be given at any stage during the pregnancy, but they are safe and may be convenient after the delivery or जैसे मैंने बताया कि first trimester के बाद आप उसको शुरू कर सकते हैं. High clinical suspicion with the early full anticoagulant and objective diagnosis are the best way to minimize the maternal mortality and morbidity and avoiding the risk of the unnecessary treatment. So this is all about the thromboembolism. If you have any question,